So why the hell do we pre-order games?
Anyway,
Well, I watched a
that's
little bit
it.
more, I guess.
That's the end. I did it. I said the most controversial thing in the history of my channel. I deserve to be tried for my crimes against humanity, put up against a wall
Hey, that's a nice shirt, Lorna Shore. Does he listen to
with a
them?
firing squad. What have I done? Why? I'm so sorry. I saw the trailer for Battlefield 6 and I got excited. I thought it looked absolutely incredible.
I got excited too when I watched it.
And the first thing that I did was I went on Twitter, first mistake, and I said, do
Twitter's
not
not that
pre-order.
bad.
People didn't like that.
Do not pre-order.
I was hit with a wave of some of the most emotional, performative, and downright moronic takes that I have ever seen. Most of them I'll be sharing with you today. Some people thought that I hate Battlefield for some reason. Other people thought that I was specifically telling them what to do with their money. I don't care what you do with your money. If I'm going out and I'm saying something like, don't pre-order a game or just games in general, to be honest with you, man, that's just a reminder of a system that has burned us time and time again. This happened with Battlefield 2042.
You know what? There's a lot of games. I'm a pre-order warrior, I would say. Is a odd way to put it, but I like to pre-order most games that I feel like I'm going to play at some point or another, and I just want to have it readily available when it comes out. But one game that I pre-ordered recently that I'm like not very happy with, the more I've played it, was Killing Floor 3. It made me really sad because I love the franchise so much. And so I pre-ordered it. I put all my faith in Killing Floor 3. I'm like, oh, it's going to get better. It's going to be better. Granted, it was on release. But it's not as good as it could be. And then I think I even pre-ordered Battlefield 2042 and refunded it because I didn't like it after I played it only for a couple hours. And there's been other games that I've pre-ordered on other systems and I've never returned them. But I wish I never pre-ordered a handful of games that I've done because I always want to pre-order. A good example actually is that one sword game that came out a while back. I'm trying to remember, but I pre-ordered that game. I was so excited for it, and then when I got it, it did not play anything like I thought it was going to. So
What's that Asmongold quote? Every single player backlash or uprising or whatever else is only a 5-minute cinematic trailer from being forgotten. That's exactly what's going on right now. It's recency bias more than it is anything else. We have seen this happen so many times in the past. Trailers, promotional material, especially for AAA games, rarely deliver on the promises that are given. And
I feel like with Call of Duty Black Ops 6, it kind of felt like that because I bought Black Ops 6 and I played it and I refunded that one. But like some of the marketing for Black Ops 6 made the game look like it was going to be really good. I didn't like it very much.
guys know this. Everybody knows this. And I know how exciting it is to see a new game. And while I think that Battlefield 6 looks like a safe bet, my question is, why take the bet at all when it costs me nothing just to wait?
Nothing, just to wait.
Pre-ordering used to mean something, but year over year, the value has been just drained out of it entirely. And the crazy thing is that pre-ordering used to be part of the foundation of this industry, but that's just been destroyed. There's nothing in it for us anymore other than a couple of skins. Here you go. Here's your couple of cosmetics and a broken video game.
Gosh, back in the day when you would pre-order at your local GameStop and you'd go at midnight and get the new Halo 2 or Halo 3, you know, back in the day. Oh my gosh, that was so fun. Like that was like so exciting. You'd look forward to that all freaking week. You look a couple weeks I would look forward to it. Oh, yeah, we're going to go to GameStop and get our games that we pre-ordered and get the physical discs. You get posters if you're there in line early enough. You get all kinds of fun merch, you know, in GameStops. Like I think Halo 4 granted Halo 4 wasn't amazing. I still played the campaign. I enjoyed the campaign. But my grandpa bought like the special edition Halo 4 Xbox 360 And I was like, man, that's so cool, you know. And you walk out with the big bundle, physical bundle. You know, you got the 360, you got the game. And that was back when you'd plug it in and it would work right away. You know, you put in the disc and then it played. You didn't have to download nothing. You know, feel like that with Nintendo, but now it ain't worth it. Well, yeah, and everything's digital now, so you don't even really get anything physical anymore. It's all online download.
So, with all this risk and very little reward, my question is, why the fuck are we pre-ordering games? I'm going to start by saying that I think Battlefield 6 looks incredible. I've got a whole other video plan talking about EA and how we might actually be seeing a real turnaround over there, which is a crazy thing for me to be saying,
I'm
especially
hoping,
on this channel. But I mean,
This-
you know, after releasing something
just
like
looks
Dragon
so
Age: The
cool.
Veilguard, that's
I'm
enough to
excited to
change
play
any
it
company.
today.
But Battlefield 6, everything about its reveal has been textbook perfect. Community feedback implemented, lessons learned, gameplay is looking sharp. First impressions are absolutely glowing from just about every single person that's played it. If you're a
Yeah.
fan, it feels like there is a genuinely great game just around the corner. But that is all it is, a possibility, a strong maybe, and none of that is a
True.
reason for me to pay money for something that I can't play right now.
Nowadays, you have to be skeptical on every game out there, I feel like. Every game you have to be skeptical with now because they they can make the marketing look so good, make the game look like it's going to be like the best game coming out this year, and then you get it and you play it and you're like, what is this piece of garbage?
Everything that we have seen, even the hands-on stuff, is all a part of a marketing push. It's been filtered, edited, and carefully presented to convince you that this
Yeah,
thing is
exactly.
a smart investment. And let's be honest, we've been down this road before. Far too many times. There is a long, ugly history of pre-orders leading straight to scuffed launches. At best, you are paying for the privilege to beta test some broken game 2 months early. At worst, you're handing over cash in exchange for a few skins in the hope that things won't go sideways. So yeah, I'm hyped.
Yeah.
Of course I'm hyped. I want Call of Duty to die, and I want Battlefield to be the one to kill it, but the cynic on my shoulder
I think we all want Call of Duty to die at this point. Let's be honest.
kicked in and tweeted out, do not fucking pre-order. And while some people got it, the rest, well, these replies made me lose all faith in humanity. Always pre-order what you love. Don't know why people are saying
See, I took that advice with Killing Floor 3. I semi-regret it. I got my hours out of the game. I got like 80, 90 hours in the game now. But were they great? They were all right. What made it great was me and my buddy Matt playing. That's what made it great.
not to pre-order. It was actually brilliant. I like to pre-order the day before release just to get the free bonus shit. Too late, I'm gonna pre-order. I just pre-ordered twice. Don't tell me what to do. Bro, I just took
pre-ordered
200
twice.
milligrams of zinc. What do you expect? I'm gonna pre-order Battlefield 6 just to piss y'all off. Worst advice ever, you're the problem with gaming. And this just went on and on. People retweeting, posting,
Holy
sharing receipts of them
cow.
buying the game. I guess these guys assumed that I was like rolled up in a corner somewhere, losing my mind. I don't care how you guys spend your money. I just don't see the point. And the fact that people would be responding to this with receipts like it's a badge
Bro,
of honor is
that's so
just something
many
straight out of idiocracy, especially the ones that are talking about how they're buying the game for skins. Guys, this is a first-person game. One reply really stuck with
You know what's funny is I always worry about skins, and almost every game I play is a first-person game. I didn't really think about it until the first time I watched this through, and I was like, what? Because I guess it doesn't really matter as much, but you want everyone else to think you look cool, you know? It's all about everyone else thinking you're cool.
me though. Somebody said, I see what you're saying, but I typically pre-order games I know I absolutely want, regardless of reviews. When I pre-order, it's more so I can pay and not have to deal or worry about it later when it's potentially out of budget or something.
Which I can agree with that too, because that was something that could be a big reason why I would pre-order something is like, oh, well, I have the cash now. I could just go buy a couple gift cards and be able to get the game now. And then I don't have to worry about it later and just hope the game's going to be as good as you're expecting. You know, granted, you can on Steam, you know, you could refund within 2 hours, but sometimes 2 hours isn't long enough to really know if you're going to keep playing the game or not.
That hit me. I used to be in the exact same spot, up to my neck
Yeah.
in debt, stuck with a dead-end job, barely scraping by. The only thing that I was looking forward to was playing games just to escape. And even though I
always look
couldn't
forward to
afford it,
games.
I still would pre-order games because that anticipation, that promise of joy, it was all I had.
Good games.
But that's also what makes us the perfect targets. These marketing campaigns are built to exploit that hope. They sell you relief, they sell you comfort, and they know exactly how to do it without delivering anything real.
Well, they have to pay their marketing team somehow.
Because the truth is, when you pre-order a game that hasn't even gone gold, that doesn't even technically exist in its final form. All you're buying is a receipt and a feeling, and that's just not enough anymore. It's not fair to us, not with how much
That guy's
money
got a
they
nice
are
beard.
asking us to pay for these games, how little you actually get, and how often the end result isn't what was promised. Pre-ordering used to serve a purpose back when games were physical and stock was limited. If you didn't reserve a copy, you might spend all day driving around from store to store just to come up empty. We used to put $5 down on a copy, not pay for the entire thing in full. It used to be a
Yeah.
reservation, not a financial commitment. And it used to
I used to reserve games all the time like that. I put $5 or $10 down or $20, and then you would go and put $10 on it the next week until you had it all the way paid off, and then you could go in release night, and they're like, "Oh, if you're fully paid, you get this line, and if you have to pay more, you're in this line." So I always got in the line ready to go usually because I would pay over time.
mean something. Pre-ordering was an event. Midnight launches were peak
It was
gaming
such a
culture. I
big
remember
event.
lining up for Wrath of the Lich King, Gears of War, Halo, Call of Duty, calling my friends, grabbing food, staking out our spots in line. Stores were running giveaways, trivia, and tournaments. It was a celebration, and you actually
Yeah.
got something out of it. T-shirts,
Oh, that
posters,
brings
keychains,
back
figurines,
memories.
collector stuff that you
I
could hold
remember
on
getting
to.
Halo 3
Something to mark the
ODST.
moment, because that's what game releases used to be. Something to remember. Now that's gone. It's dead. It's buried. And while I totally get and support people wanting to
man.
pre-order and support
video is
physical
such a,
games,
like,
digital has
eye-opener.
completely killed the culture and value. Games don't run out of stock anymore. You can just download them day one. Most local game stores are completely gone by this time. Big retailers aren't doing midnight launches anymore. And the only way that you're going to get any type of physical merch for supporting a game is if you're dropping $100 or more on a collector's edition. Or in the case
Oh,
of
man.
Diablo 4, even a collector's edition doesn't even include the game.
I forgot about that. Bro, how do you sell a collector's edition without at least the base game? Well, technically, the collector's edition should have at least a game in it.
And most pre-order bonuses now are
You get a Gravedigger soldier skin, weapon charm. Gosh, every game has weapon charms now. Weapon package. Got some weapon stickers. XP boost. I mean, you know, general stuff that you probably earn anyways over time, or earn cooler stuff. Usually you earn better stuff.
just cosmetic or content that's been cut from the main game and sold separately, or content that was specifically made to push pre-orders and upgrades. Beyond that, the entire intent of pre-ordering has changed. It used to be a simple convenience for us and a thank you from the devs to the player. But now it's a one-sided deal. It's a publisher benefiting transaction. Pre-orders are just a cash flow tool, a sales forecast, a development milestone. Most of the time, we are buying something that isn't even finished. It's just late-stage crowdfunding without any of the transparency. I mean, do I even have to say Cyberpunk 2077?
I remember when I did the Cyberpunk 2077 stream, we crashed every 2.5 hours exactly, and we did a 32-hour stream straight through. That was peak.
Yeah, the game redeemed itself, but at one point, that game had the world wrapped around its finger. I think I pre-ordered the game the minute that it hit the store. Every reveal, every trailer, gameplay snippet, behind the scene, closed doors, previews, it all looked perfect. This was the developers of The Witcher 3. There wasn't a single red flag, and then it dropped, and it was a total nightmare. Unfinished, broken, it didn't deliver on a
didn't have
fraction
a
of
lot
what
of
was
those
promised.
bugs.
It became, at the time, the clearest example of why you don't give these companies your money until you know exactly what you're
What the
getting.
heck?
No Man's Sky, same story. Redemption later, disaster at launch. Aliens, Colonial Marines. Previews, hands-on, and early reviews were all based on content that didn't even exist in the final game. It was all curated specifically
What?
for the reviewers to sell the game for them.
That's
Then
gotta
we
be
have
illegal,
Battlefield
right?
2042,
That's
widely
like-
seen as one of the
That's like misleading, ain't it?
worst entries in the franchise, and just like Battlefield 6, it promised a return to form. Dynamic weather events, 128 player lobbies, next-gen destruction, big callbacks to Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4 to tug at your heartstrings, but the beta and the release revealed all. Buggy, unpolished, core mechanics missing. The new specialist system replaced the class system and pissed off just about everybody. The game was such a letdown that weeks after launch, players started circulating a change.org petition.
Holy cow.
Demanding refunds across all platforms.
233,952 people just at the time they screenshotted this. I bet it went up past that quite a bit.
Now, I've only
depending
listed
on who many
a few, but there is a
game.
long list of games that have burned players, and there just really isn't any benefit for players to pre-order anymore. And honestly, I don't even see the benefit for studios and publishers outside of capturing your money early. Because some people were asking for more context, I posted again saying, for those with brain slugs, we used to pre-order to reserve a copy day one, participate in a midnight launch, and get collector's merch.
Yeah, the collector's merch, you know, you'd always get the cool posters and stuff.
Now, you just give money to a company for no reason and get skins you will replace the second that your impulsive ass gets into the cosmetic shop.
I'm a sucker for freaking skins in games, man. I hate it. If there's like a badass skin that looks better than everything. That was my problem in Call of Duty. I freaking bought so many skins in Call of Duty that they come out with a new one next week that was slightly better. And I was just like, come on, you know. They had you by the balls, you know.
This drew the attention of Larian Studios' head of publishing, who had said, it actually helps an incredible amount because console first parties attribute success and support to pre-order numbers. Months before launch, it's the only measurable stat that can make a difference. Not saying you should, but it's not true that it's for no reason. If you want to support a game, this is genuinely the best, most effective way. I responded, I understand where you're coming from, and that's why I support early access but not pre-orders. One is active, the
Killing Floor 3 should have been early access.
The other is passive. I want to actually give my support through feedback, critique, and data rather than just giving a company money simply to prove interest. To which he replied, that's a big brain POV. I respect it. Now, while I didn't say this in the post, I totally understand that there is valuable information that developers can get from being able to see how many people may or already have committed money to a game. That's very valuable for these guys. But I completely disagree with it being the only valuable metric or the only measurement to be able to use to be able to make a difference before a game releases. That doesn't even make any sense to me. These companies have so many tools at their disposal. They have all these different social media metrics and things like that to be able to look at, to see exactly what people are saying and thinking about their game, how many people are positive and negative, and what are you doing? Plus, on top of that, he's alluding to something that is incredibly dangerous, and that's the idea that with these first-party titles on consoles more than anything else, likely is what he's talking about, that whether or not the game gets finished or whether or not they put more into marketing is dictated on how many pre-orders a game has. That's terrible. Make that make sense. You're investing hundreds of millions of dollars into a game. You get it to the finish line, and then now you're looking at pre-orders and deciding whether or not you want to finish it or put more marketing into it. Something that is
You should just always finish the game, right?
Is dictated on player spending habits, world economic conditions that can shift at any given moment, whether or not another developer burned a bunch of players on pre-orders before your game comes out and makes them skittish and not want to actually pre-order a game. The only way this makes any sense to me is if these guys are just completely ignoring social media metrics altogether and are ignoring player feedback on social media. Never mind, actually, it makes perfect sense to me now that I say that.
Do they even look at the comments that people put on social media? I saw a post today on one of like Call of Duty's thing. It was like 8 hours ago or probably 12 hours ago now. And it was them saying, "Oh, this is season 5 or 6 or whatever season it is in Black Ops 6 now." And everyone was saying, "Nah, I'm good. I'm going to Battlefield 6." And every comment was saying Battlefield 6 is better. Battlefield 6, we're going to play that over the Battle Pass. And what was sad is they're saying buy the Battle Pass now to play later. It's like they need that money, man. They're trying to get, they're marketing their Battle Passes. I saw it just scrolling on YouTube, I think. And so that shows you I hope Battlefield 6 is good just for the fact that it pushes Call of Duty to be better. Because Call of Duty's been in a weird spot for a while now. I think.
There just isn't anything in it for players anymore. There's no value in it for us, and there's so much risk that's associated with it. And these games are so expensive, and they're getting even more expensive. They want to be even more expensive.
They're too expensive.
And we just
for the average
don't see a
person.
lot of AAA games that are actual of good quality, right? I mean, I don't, to be honest with you. I mean, my other people might actually have a different eye than I do when it comes to this stuff, but I think Battlefield 6 likely is going to be an exception to the rule. I think that the game is genuinely going to be good, at least from what I've seen of it so far. But that is something of an anomaly today. And personally, I just don't like betting on anomalies.
Yeah,
I would much rather wait to see what that game looks like when that game comes out. It costs me absolutely nothing just to wait. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. But that's the thing. This system isn't built to benefit us anymore. Instead,
True.
It's built to support the bloated budgets and headcounts of these companies. I mean, keep in mind, Battlefield, EA had said, they came out and said, we want 100 million players for Battlefield. They are likely budgeting this game based on that projection.
That's a lot.
That is a very
people.
dangerous thing to do. And that's exactly why these companies want your money, because it shows to their shareholders that they're pulling something in. And it's essentially trying to pretend like the entire system isn't on fire. But what I don't think that these guys understand or have come to realize is that their cost cutting and their removal of value from pre-ordering and the culture itself has completely removed the safety net out from underneath them. Now, I've had this theory for a while now.
Yeah, now without physical copies that could potentially run out, people aren't going to feel like they have to pre-order as much either. I mean, there's infinite copies online, just like he said, on every app. You just one click and you buy it. And so not being able to run out of copies is, I guess, a big thing now. But I think from now on, after watching this video, it's given a lot of insight. I don't think I'll be pre-ordering games nearly as much as I used to. Because I legit would pre-order just about anything. I almost pre-ordered Elden Ring Night Rain, but I was like, I'm gonna wait and see how it does. That was one that I genuinely want to play, but I want to wait for a sale for it, just because that's a game that I don't know if I'd get all my value out of it, just because that might be something that's only fun with like friends, you know. Because I'm not good at the Souls-like games in general, so I have to have someone else playing with me usually.
About why so many high-profile games flop, why studios keep getting shut down, and why it feels like every single new release has everything riding on it. And I think it's because AAA publishers accidentally destroyed pre-orders while still relying on them to survive, and they also are designing their games for day one sales. And yeah, I know that this entire video is about not pre-ordering, but let's be honest, we're just not seeing them at the scale that we used to anymore. People are pointing to Battlefield 6 topping the Steam charts like it's some kind of proof that pre-ordering is still alive and well, but what's actually happening right now? I mean, the last big game release that we had was Expedition 33 back in April. Wu Chang Fallen Feathers could have been the next one, but performance issues kind of tanked that game's sales. Nothing else is selling right now. So, of course, Battlefield 6 is going to look massive.
That is the biggest thing. Games that release need to be optimized better. There's so many games that release and they could be so much better, 10 times better if the game would just function properly. So that Wu Chang game's probably really good, but if it has issues running properly, or if the game engine isn't optimized, people aren't going to enjoy the game. The game could be amazing, but if it doesn't perform well on your machine, I mean, that's enough to kill anybody's enjoyment in a game. Doesn't matter how good the game is.
Because it's not up against anything. Over the years, publishers stripped out everything that made pre-ordering feel worthwhile. No merch, no collectibles, no culture. They moved to digital to save on retail partnerships, manufacturing, and shipping. Fine, sure, but in doing that, they erased the entire reason why people pre-order. There's nothing to hold. There's nothing to look forward to. No benefit. Just early payment for a product that you don't own yet. And while they were cutting those corners, they were scaling up everywhere else. Games got bigger. Studios ballooned in size. Budget skyrocketed. We're talking about games that are $300 to $400 million projects now. And somehow, despite offering less, they became more dependent than ever on pre-orders. Not to reward you, not to create hype, just to calm down their investors to convince themselves that they weren't about to tank another release. But I also think that people used to pre-order because they wanted to, because there was something they used to get. I used to do it all the time, not because
Yeah, when you would get the discs and then you would have all the cases, you'd put all those on your shelf, and you'd want to get that shelf higher too. Be like, oh yeah, look at all these games I
I
got.
thought the game was going to be amazing, but because I thought they were
Now you just
relatively
have a Steam
inexpensive and it came with a
library
shirt or a hat or a
that's
statue
like
or a
300
launch event or
games
just something to
that you
feel like I
don't
was
play.
being a part of something, because that used to be enough. And back then, that was a cushion. That used to be a safety net for these guys. Even if the game turned out mediocre or broken, the pre-orders were already locked in. Day one sales could carry the launch and publishers could just fill in the cracks later. But now that doesn't work. So now, with all the benefits stripped away, cost skyrocketing, and every single release feeling like a game of Russian roulette, where it might launch with performance issues, missing content, weird messaging, or in some
Russian
cases just be a
roulette.
straight up scam, I would like to believe, maybe not most, but a lot of players have finally wisened up. They wait, they hold out, and they just don't get excited until a game is actually out. And again, this is entirely the publisher's fault, not for just mismanaging their budgets or failing to give players a reason to pre-order, but for releasing unfinished, mediocre, and broken games and expecting us to show up for it anyway.
Yeah, it feels like you don't get as excited for a game coming to release anymore. Because back in the day, there was so much hype around pre-ordering in general. Now it's like, oh, I'll just wait, and then if it's good, then I'll buy it and download it that day and play it. But it's like before when you'd get the physical disc and you're like so excited for the game, and but games back then were so much better too. I feel like there's still good games coming out now, but I feel like there's not the market is too saturated with shitty games, to be honest.
I think one of the reasons why so many of these companies are struggling right now is because they got so used to us committing early. That trust gave them the permission to be able to cut corners in the final stretch, knowing that they already had our money and could just fix it later. And if you want proof of that system being broken, all we got to do is look back at Baldur's Gate 3. That game caused a full-on panic across the industry, not because it was a surprise hit, but because it exposed just how far the bar had been lowered. When players started calling it the new gold standard, you had studios and publishers that were jumping in to say, this isn't realistic, you can't expect this from everyone. And the fact that they were saying that out loud, that they were openly afraid of a well-made, competent game, should tell you everything. But an
Baldur's Gate 3 and Elden Ring were like two very amazing games that stand out in recent years that came out that were only like $60, I think, $59.99 each. And when those companies were complaining that the games were too good, that should tell you everything you need to know about the industry now. We need better games
article from GameDeveloper.com
from
were the
everyone.
ones that actually confirmed what all of us had already expected. They were trying to explain away and talk about how these studios can't do what Larian is actually doing and trying to defend the system, but they accidentally exposed just how dysfunctional it really is. In an article titled Yelling is Not Journalism, written in response to the player outrage, they had wrote, in abstract, here's the big part of it. Games release in imperfect states because
What
developments
was
to the
that
player
first part? There was an opportunity to give players context for why games release the way they do, but instead it was designed to incite anger directed at a few devs.
outrage. They had wrote, in abstract, here's the big part of it. Games release in imperfect states because developers either run out of money or shareholders of the parent company mandate that a game must come out in a certain window, which developers have no control over.
Which I think is messed up. I feel like that's kind of what happened with Killing Floor 3 as well. Like, because when they pushed it from the beta release, or when they had the beta like back in March, and they only pushed it like a couple months, like I think it only got a 4 month extension before it came out. It really needed like a year before it came out, and I guarantee the shareholders were saying, "Oh, we need this game to pump out. We need people to buy it. We need, you know." And now that the game's out, it's probably harder to update the game because it's already in the space. So it's probably harder to do updates. It's harder to fix bugs. It's harder to add new content because now you're trying to fix all the bugs that are in the game. So it's just not good. I wish they didn't have as much control over it, but I mean, how else would the games get made, I guess?
They run out of money trying to make the best game possible with the least amount of time. Devs rarely control their own budget, and they're trying to make as much cool stuff as they can with the time that they're allotted. In short, for one reason or another, they're often forced to start selling a game in order to pay for its completion. This has been done through DLC, patches, early access, and yes, even microtransactions for ages because of the rising expectations of AAA.
I feel like early access is one of the best ways to do that, though.
because big studios are beholden to financial year results and reporting to their investors. Devs burn through their life force trying to make this happen, and it's upsetting to see this brought up with absolute incuriosity. And that's it. That's the entire problem. They have front-loaded the entire operation, so now it is aimed at the hype leading up to release and the day one result. And they will just figure out what happens next after the game releases. That is effectively what pre-ordering is today, and that's the reason why nobody wants to do it anymore. They are not launching finished products. They are launching funding campaigns. I don't know about you guys, but I'm here to buy a video game, not somebody else's problems, not pay for the fact that developers have no control over their own workplace or donate to a Kickstarter that's being sold as a finished product. That is not our fucking responsibility. But what I don't think these companies understand is that era is over. We live in a reality now where audience sentiment can kill a game well before it even launches. If players sense bloat, greed, or even a hint of personal politics, it's going to spread instantly.
With social media now, it's so easy to kill a game before it even releases. Back in the day, when you had more magazines and the internet was still a little newer, you wouldn't really hear about if a game's good or bad until you went and purchased it. I remember getting the PC or the Game Informer magazines sent to your house, and it would be like, oh, these are the list of games coming out this year. And so and Halo was in a bunch of those, and you would save the Game Informer magazines and open them and leave them on the page for the games you were most excited for. Like, man, this takes me back, like, to the childhood when, you know, like, I was so about games growing up. I still love games. I'm just getting a little older, you know. But back when I was a kid, oh my gosh, the Game Informer magazines, me and my grandpa would get them, or he'd get them for me. He's like, hey, I got a new one here, you know, like, so he'd give me the one that he got every month. I would basically be a month behind because he would give me the one from the month before when he would get his new one, because I was still really young, so I didn't pay to get them shipped to my house, but he was getting the magazines all the time. So
publishers built an economy powered by hype, but now that economy is controlled by an audience that doesn't trust them anymore, an audience that they created. And as we've seen, that shift has not gone well for them. Sure, there are definitely some outlier games like Call of Duty or Monster Hunter Wilds where the brand is bulletproof or the competition is non-existent, but those are rare. Everyone else, you can see just how fragile they are right now. Look at Dragon Age: The Veilguard. That reveal trailer sparked cautious excitement, then the official trailer dropped and that momentum collapsed overnight. First impressions fell flat, the game got discounted within a month and then dumped into a subscription service, and then after that it just kind of vanished from conversation. Same story with Assassin's Creed, same with Avowed, same with the whole stack of games that we've seen over the past couple.
Man, Avowed fell off pretty quick, didn't it?
Couple of years. These projects live and die by early momentum, and they're operating in a world where that momentum can disappear with a single bad trailer. And honestly, I don't think any of this changes, not unless there's a massive return to physical gaming, but let's be real, with the rise of PC and most players preferring the convenience of being able to download a game digitally, that ship has sailed. It was a lightning in a bottle moment where pre-orders actually meant something, where we could trust the industry, where launch events were culture. It's gone and it's not coming back. But
you'd make some good friends going to those events, waiting to get your games too. I made some friends in line that, you know, we used to play Halo way back when. Like, it wasn't very consistent, but, you know, you'd make some people, hey, what game's coming out tonight, you know, like, because sometimes they'd have multiple games coming out in the same night, which back then was kind of, it was rare, but, yeah, you'd be like, I remember when they came out with the Skyrim Legendary Edition, there's so many people hyping it up and so ready for it, and that was, you met a lot of really cool people.
That's fine. If the old system is dead, then it's time to build something better, something that puts the players first. We all know development is expensive, and we all know it's a gamble, and you can have the right idea, but at the wrong time, you can build...
Yeah, it's expensive, but now you're not printing on discs anymore. That probably costs a little bit of money, you know, per case, and then they would give you the little magazines in there, and then you get the disc. Like, that's a little cheaper, but now games are starting to go up on top of not having any real production costs. They just have to make the game, and then it's all digital.
Something beautiful, but still miss the mark. Players understand that, but that doesn't mean that we should be the ones that are absorbing the risk for it, because that's not our job to fund that. I think that's one of the reasons why Expedition 33 worked out so well. While the game was absolutely incredible, the developers never assumed that they had a hit. They knew that they were unknown, so instead of pushing deluxe editions and cosmetic bundles, they just gave players a reason to trust them. A 15% discount for pre-ordering. No strings, no bullshit, just a fair trade.
Oh, I didn't know they did
savings. That. And honestly, I'll take that over a batch of skins any day, and I think that's the direction that the rest of this...
I didn't know they did that. That's actually really cool. That is a game I want to do a playthrough of eventually. So
Industry needs to start heading in. I think that discounts before release is the best step forward. I think that it's obvious by
that's
now
pretty cool.
that this industry, no matter how much money they make, they're never going to detach from the teat that is their shareholders. And if that's the case, well, then you need to start giving players a reason to support early, a real reason to support early. And
Yeah, that's
when
a
I
good
see a
step.
publisher discount a game before it's released, I don't think that that's a sign of weakness. I think that's a sign of charity and trust more than anything else. And it's a practice
Yeah, they're basically saying, trust us with this badass game we just made. If you pre-order it, you get 15% off. That would be enough for me to keep pre-ordering games, I guess. If nothing else changes though outside of that, I probably won't be pre-ordering games nearly as much as I used to.
that I support. I mean, I do not pre-order games. I pre-ordered Expedition 33 before it was released, specifically because I saw it was 15% off, and I want to support that practice. I want to see that more often. And
Yeah.
I'm going to catch some real heat for this one. AAA live service games, I think that they should go on discounted early access years before they even release. I think that Baldur's Gate 3, while not a live service game, proved that you can put out a AAA release, give players a vertical slice of the game, a very small slice of the game, test within it, give them a discounted price for it, learn to make the game that players actually want to play, get valuable data, valuable feedback, as well as funding to continue the development of the game.
Wasn't Baldur's Gate 3 in early access for like a year and a half or something like that, or like a really long time. I had a buddy tell me about it, and he was playing it since early access. And watching the game grow from early access is so fun, I think. Like, I did that with Killing Floor 2. Back when that was out, that was like it had like a year and a couple month early access. And that game changed so much in that first year. And then when it officially released, like, I love seeing a game that I enjoy playing grow and add more content when it's classified as an early access.
And then once you've made the game they want, then you release all of it in one big drop and make a big splash. I think that can work out for a lot of these companies.
I think that worked
I know
out
some
really
people
well.
are like,
for
oh, these
Baldur's
companies
Gate
have as
3.
much money as they already need. Believe me, I know, but I don't think we're ever going to get around that, to be honest with you. You got to speak on their terms when it comes to some of this stuff. Beyond that, I want to see customer loyalty programs and digital returns. LD, what are you smoking? Hear me out, okay? Hear me out. Stop Killing Games has made some serious momentum. I think it's actually going to make an
Oh,
impact
yeah,
in one
yeah.
way,
I remember.
shape, or form. And players need to feel like their money is worthwhile, that their investments are worthwhile, and the best way to do that is through loyalty programs and being able to trade in or get value for games that they don't play anymore. So when I look at it from a developer perspective, the easiest thing for these guys to do is put in a code showing that you played the last game that they had, individual by key, and get 15% off in the next game that they make. Easy. That makes me want to continue to support your games.
That's an interesting. That's an interesting concept, actually. I'm trying to think of how that would really work. I mean, I guess with the customer loyalty thing, that would get people, assuming you're making a good product. You have to make a good product, otherwise that's not going to work because no one's just going to pre-order in the first place. But if you're making a really good product that's a step up from the last game, I could see almost everyone who's maybe stuck in that particular franchise or whatever series of game is coming out that's next. I would definitely do that. I'd probably buy every game that came out if it was a series that I really enjoyed. That would be a really big incentive to pre-order the next one.
Because I'm constantly getting value out of that. And I feel rewarded for doing so. And I feel appreciated for the money that I spend on your games. Beyond that, when it comes to a game that you're finished with and you don't want to play anymore, well, you have like some type of digital, buyback program. You recycle the key, the player gets a little bit of money. That's a win-win in my opinion. As it stands right now, when I look at
how much money would they give you? Because would the developer technically have to pay for that after they've done all these sales and then they're investing into new projects? I don't know how I feel about that, because if you're doing that, it almost feels like if you went to pawn your old games that you didn't, your physical games that you didn't play anymore, or you would go to GameStop and you would turn in your games and they'd give you like 3 cents for, oh, you got the last two Call of Duties. Here's $3 for the next one. Like I feel like they wouldn't be able to give you a very big amount of money. Like enough that would really be worth it. I mean, unless you trade in like 10 or 20 games and then you have enough to get a brand new game, maybe that would work, but how who's paying who's paying for that though? Like that would be the biggest question is that could probably work, but who has to pay for that buyback program? Is it the app that you're buying it on? Like, would Xbox have to pay for that? Would PlayStation have to pay for that? Or if the developers having to pay for that and they're invested in new projects, that could slow down production on new projects, I think.
With this industry, the biggest issues that we have is that it's constantly leaning towards a one-side relationship where players are getting less and less and we're taking on more and more risk while the publishers are getting the lion's share of just about everything. And with how oversaturated this industry is right now, and with how many options that we have today, these companies have to start giving us reasons to buy their games outside of it just being a good game, because I don't think that that's going to be enough. And also, I don't think players trust them enough for that to be enough. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. Are you guys still pre-ordering games? How do you guys feel about it? Do you guys think I'm crazy for saying all of this?
I regret pre-ordering some
I don't
games.
think so. At least I hope not. Oh, God, I hope not. Anyway, are you guys excited for Battlefield 6? I am, but I'll wait for the game to come out. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did enjoy the video, like the video, subscribe to the channel, share the video with your friends. We're almost at 400,000 subscribers. That's crazy. Thank you guys for that. Follow me on Twitch. Follow me on Twitter. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Stay cool. Stay righteous. Stay safe. Peace.
Family, 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 family.
I could be in that if I didn't have my beard, but if they wanted a bald guy with a beard in there, let me know. That was a very, very good video. This guy, I mean, Legendary Drops makes freaking amazing videos. That's so good. Please at least go give him a like, give him a sub. That was such a good video. That was a lot of good talking points in there that we were able to touch on. So.